How you doing? This is Mari Cruz, bringing the gap between the rich, the poor, and the sick, because I have lupus and a bunch of other health issues. And I wanted to talk more about that because it was a long road before I got diagnosed with lupus. And up to that point, which was 2012 when I got diagnosed, I had a lot of health struggles. And if I remember right, everything started when I would say it was before my teens because I started having issues, stomach issues. Um, I will fall all the time. And I never connected it with that because I kept thinking about it's not normal for a 10-year-old or somebody that's already been walking for a long time to actually fall and hit themselves everywhere. And I had a lot of accidents, not only falling and hitting myself, but also um, dropping stuff. And so the more I keep thinking about my past, everything that I went through, then when I started getting on my teens and I started growing exponentially, everything felt worse because I attributed that I was growing. I was in so much pain I could barely do anything. And even with that, I was doing sports. I was playing basketball, volleyball, because I pushed through the pain. I learned to push through the pain. But then I had to be in a lot of medications, painkillers, because I couldn't bear with the pain. I always been a very strong person and have a high tolerance for pain. But at that time when I was growing and the hormones were coming and all this stuff, it was crazy. It was bad. And so stomach pain, constipation, the other side, accidents, fevers. What else? They took me to an osteopath to check my bones. And they told me, I remember, because I also had scoliosis, they told me that my bones were 2 years younger, 2 years older than myself, than my age, my real age. Um, when I was 12, I started when I started my period, I started having reproductive issues too. It was a lot of stuff. But again, because you see so many different doctors and all the specialties are separated, and the quality of the healthcare system in Puerto Rico is horrible. You know what? I had a positive ANA with high pain levels, and they didn't diagnose me when I was 12. So jump to 18 years old when actually, in Puerto Rico, I don't know about here, and I don't understand why they require that because it's not a business. They require you to get a job in Puerto Rico. They require you to have an STD test. And I'm thinking, what does that to do with anything? But whatever. But if I don't know if you know that people that have lupus can have false positives, and I had a false positive, and I never had an STD. So what happened was, my mom is like, "What the heck?" And then the doctor told me, "No, you don't have anything. You are going to develop some kind of autoimmune disease." Jump. So I left Puerto Rico at 21, and nobody. So I started seeing doctors, military doctors, because my husband was in the military. And one of the doctors, when I got my first pregnancy at 21, he said that I had the markers for an autoimmune, and if it was not if I was going to get it, is when I was going to get it. And so that the first time that I said, well, at least I'm not crazy, because thinking and feeling so horrible and nobody believing you, nobody doing anything about it, and feeling so desperate, was a lot for a teen to handle, a kid to handle. And I was so sick all the time. I also had a lot of ear infections. What do you call it? The tonsil were always swollen. I had, I will tell you that I had ear infections and throat infections every month. Every month I had that. Now, on top of that, when I was 12, I started getting my period. I developed reproductive issues, endometriosis, fibroids, cysts, and all this kind of stuff. So, all these things, signs of inflammation, why did it take them so long to find out that I had lupus? So, it took them until I was 38 years old. And now the first 20 years of my life was Puerto Rican doctors. The other, let me see, 21. The other 21 years was American doctors. And I mean Anglo-American doctors. And here's supposed to be the healthcare better. Well, it took them 21 years to find out. The military doctors didn't diagnose me, to find out that I had lupus when I was in 2012. And all this time, a lot of people thought that I was crazy, that I was a hypochondriac. And all the bad experiences that I have with my health just made me distrust doctors. And hypochondriacs love doctors and medicine, and I hate medicine. So just imagine dealing with all that. And on top of that, trying to have a normal life and work, but not being able to do it because of all this pain, all this in and out of the hospital. After 18, 20, 21 years, it got worse. That's when I started having more in and out of the hospital visits. Give me a second. I want to be sure that. And so, and so, yeah, so that made thing really, really bad. And it made me doubt myself. And because lupus is a silent disease that you don't see unless you have the butterfly rash. And I didn't have the butterfly rash. Then people think that you are lying or you're lazy. And every time, and I was working in McDonald's and Burger King and telemarketing, which fast food restaurants are very fast paced and stressful. So I remember one time when I was working for McDonald's, I was bleeding for, I think it was 60 or 90 days because I had like I said, reproductive issues, and I will attribute it to the lupus. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm just talking about my experience as a lupus patient, because I also have fibromyalgia. It was just too much. It was just too much. And anybody would have lost complete trust in doctors forever. And the last time I went to my doctor, okay, so the last 5 years, I end up in the hospital with a clot that should have taken me out. A blood clot is a killer, literally a killer. So they hospitalized me for like a week. A lot of allergic reactions to different things. What else? In and out of the hospital with bronchitis and pneumonia. Bronchitis, pneumonia, UTI. 3 or 4 months ago, I ended up in the hospital vomiting because I had a UTI. So something that is simple for you as a person that is healthy, that I get, it's more complicated. I told them I never heard of getting a UTI and being vomiting. It's how sick I was. In November, I got COVID. It was 2 months that I was sick. The other day, I had a lymph node that just got really, it was small and it just got big. And my friend said, you need to take that care of that because it can be cellulitis. And then you can have how you call it, sepsis in your blood and die. And then the problem is I have a lot of antibiotic allergies. So thanks be to God that when I got the medication, the antibiotics, I didn't get a rash. That was a miracle, literally a miracle of God. And I praise God for that. But going through doctor, not being able always to be extremely fatigued, not be able to do a normal job, and your ADHD and your type A personality, and you want to do and go and live life to the max. It's very limiting and very frustrating. And I've been in my house stuck most of the time. I don't go anywhere for over a year and a half because after I got the COVID in November, that was like horrible. But I said to myself, next year, no matter what, if we have the pandemic or not, I'm going to be out because I can't live like this because it isolates you. And isolation is not good. And extroverts, isolated extroverts, bad combination. And I dealt with depression and PTSD because of childhood abuse. So compounded with that. And I just wonder, because the majority of the doctors that I saw were white. They didn't care about diagnosing me. The last one, Dr. John, which is my doctor now that's had 20, 30 years with diagnosing patients with autoimmune. He's the first person that saw me and found what was bugging me. The first thing that he diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. And then the second thing was lupus. So I had so many major surgeries from a hysterectomy, appendectomy, and half of a lung removal. That also is very expensive. If you don't have a health care, just imagine I would have already been bankrupt. Even with the health care, I had to pay a lot of money with bills, hospital bills, because of my health. So imagine dealing with all of that. But you know what? Even in this past month, I had the most horrible lupus flare that I've had in a year. And I think it's because of the isolation and the pandemic and being here all the time in the house and dealing with family issues and what was the other thing? Oh, and storms. Because I live in Texas and there's a lot of storms since the beginning of spring, and it's been too much. So what is the main thing I want you to get from this? Because you don't see somebody is sick and they look great, doesn't mean they're okay. Even though through all the things that I'm dealing with, I am doing pretty good. And I haven't had to see my doctor for 6 months. Yes, I was also dealing with hip pain, knots, muscle spasms, just the number one thing is pain. And so that's what I work from home. So I was diagnosed 2012. I work from home and I want to spread more awareness to lupus because people don't see it. And then I went through hell and back with my son because since he started having symptoms when he was like 5 or 6, so we went to hematologists, we went to rheumatologists, and so I dealt with this as a child. I dealt with this as an adult. I dealt with this as a mother with a child that also has lupus, which is very rare in guys. It's 1 in a million. And my son is a salesman of cell phones, and it's a very stressful job. And he's always in and out of the hospital. So if you're not financially stable with this disease, it can ruin your life, not only your social life, your financial life, but also many areas of your life. And that's what I want to tell you. So if you have a chronic illness, you understand what I mean. What is to deal with fatigue, extreme fatigue, fevers, pain all over. Look, I'm only 46 and I've been having hip pain in both of my sides, sciatica pain, edema, because I had neuropathy too, and I haven't fallen, thank God, for a while. But I was swelling every week. It is very disconcerting. But again, I have a good mindset and I take it one day at a time. And if I feel bad, I take a break and slow down my work because I'm my boss. Nobody is over me. Nobody decides what do I do or don't do. And also, I just graduated in December from Baylor University with a Master of Divinity in Biblical Languages. That was almost 4 years of work, 4 years of stress. I had a lot of lupus flares and fibromyalgia flares because of the amount of stress that I was in, because I wanted to graduate with honors, and I did. So I accomplished a lot of things, even though I don't see it like that. My husband had to remind me, Mari, you've done a lot of stuff. So I just want to encourage you to take it one day at a time, keep a positive mindset. And you know what? It's easier said than done. Keep a positive mindset when you're in a lot of pain and the medications that you're taking are not working. So please take it one day at a time, keep a positive mindset, try to do natural medication, natural health research, because it's your body and you should decide what goes in your body or not. You're a patient, you're an adult. You can say no to the medications if the doctors don't like it. And I know my channel is about business, but this is all connected to that, because if you are poor and bankrupt because of health bills, you can work. What is the alternative? To do an online business. If you want to check that out and you're new to my channel, please click the link on my bio in the description box. Well, in the description box in the YouTube, link them up, like the pages, and take care. And this is Marie Cruz, bridging the gap between the rich, the poor, and the handicapped, coming from the great state of Texas. Take care and God bless. And I will be on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Being interviewed by a lupus page and Facebook. So take care. See you later.